Welcome into WCATChats. We have a very exciting episode today. I'm Paul Maroof, joined alongside by Nitin Raju and Alex Carr. And today, we're welcoming the new head of Westminster football, Coach Nelson Stewart. He comes up from Isidore Newman down in New Orleans. Great career there, 162-54. And now a Westminster Wildcat. And Coach, I just want to start off with this. I wish you could have been at Westminster Thursday at 3 p.m. when that email went out. I mean, you saw football guys. I saw them in the weight room. They opened that email and they're like, holy cow, we got Arch Manning's coach. Like, everyone's so excited to have you here. So thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. No, first off, you guys, I'm not just saying, y'all do a phenomenal job. I've just looked through and, all the coverage. They took me in the press box and all the things you guys do. I don't think there's anyone else in the country really that does that. So, no, doing great. I know it was a lot. It's certainly the most text messages I've received in a long time, at a couple hundred, which I think speaks to Westminster and all that you guys do. So, no, I'm ecstatic. Obviously my family, super excited. Just really excited to get up there next week. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but it's been phenomenal. And just get a chance to meet as many people as possible. Doing really well.
And Coach, we're real excited to have you at Westminster. But looking back at your career, you started off playing football at Newman, actually teammates with Peyton Manning, then going on to play offensive line at Tulane, and then going back to Newman being a coach and teacher. For 39 years, you spent your life at Newman, and then all of a sudden, a switch to Atlanta, Georgia at Westminster. What's with the change?
Well, I think, the first thing, and I've said it time and time again, I've been really solid, where my feet are. I'm not one that, looks and applies and whatnot. Honestly, Shannon Soares, your phenomenal athletic director, just reached out and just right before break, and she had there was a great group, the Finney group, that kind of connected. And I'm one that, with a school like Westminster, you owe it to yourself, and really just as a matter of respect, just to listen. And so a quick call, we jumped on a Zoom, and honestly, it just unfolded real naturally. We just had just a really nice Zoom, communicated well, and just really over break talked. And when they reached out to my wife and I, to fly up, I guess it was last week. Our headmaster and our athletic director were great. They just said, I asked what they thought, and everyone felt like, just with Westminster, it was an opportunity. It was very exploratory to just go see. Meaning, I'm not one that goes and looks. You see, certainly I've seen a lot in college recruiting, in terms of the amount of guys that have gone all over, and it's not something I take lightly, but just fell in love with the campus. Everyone from groundskeeper to all the coaches I met, facilities team, headmaster, everyone really was just total alignment. And obviously with Miss Soares, she was phenomenal. Honestly, I just, one of those things you get in your head, and in the end, when she called and presented us with the opportunity, it was just total alignment. It felt right. And then once it hit, it was really reaffirming, not just from my family, but from all my guys I know in the profession, high school, from a collegiate level, even some professionally. Just everything said about Westminster. I've had a wonderful career at Newman. I'm not someone, again, that takes this lightly, but it was just a perfect fit for, I think, the next step of my career. I feel it's a step up. I think it's one of the, obviously it's one of the premier institutions in the country. I think it's one of the best programs in the country, and just couldn't be more excited. So it's just really all credit to Westminster, and they really reached out, like I said, and that's really kind of I'm sure there's more to it, but that's really how it happened.
And now, looking at the program you'll be joining here at Westminster, a really long tradition of some nice Southern football. And now, how do you plan to honor that legacy while also adding your own Stewart twist to the program?
Well, it's a great question, but I think the first thing is to honor the legacy of Coach Romberg, and I mean that wholeheartedly. 33 years, you don't see that very often. The level of success that he had. I was speaking with actually an Ivy League coach from Cornell the other day about him that knew him. Just a man of deep integrity, someone that's so respected. And he actually had a huge part with my going to Westminster. So I start everything with him. I think that's what it's all about. And, just trying to continue his standard, learn more about that. But I think that oftentimes when you get in a position, maybe it's somewhere that's not in a good spot or anything. I don't think that's the case. This is a wonderful, program with a lot of traditions. I think to your other point, I want to learn more. I know there are a lot of traditions at Westminster, and being my alma mater, I know how important those are. So a lot of questions, everything from, I know they've done little, prayers in the chapel to, the senior walks, things like that. That's all very important to me. And when you come in, I think the first thing you have to do is listen and learn. And I want to do a lot of that. And, in this profession, you've all got your own twist. I know I've maybe, whether it's, my offensive philosophy, some of the things we've done defense, but at the end of the day, it's all about a collaborative effort, getting to know the coaches, working together, just one common goal. And, just kind of being relentless in our pursuit, in what we do. So I think it starts with him, and I got to do a lot of work. I'm going to just kind of still out to getting up there, full time in June, but, learning the players, doing Zoom installs. We had COVID, and that was one of those times we got to do these things. And I think, in the end, more than anything else is to just keep growing, continue to learn. There's a lot of tradition there. Obviously, there have been a lot of success, 3 state championships, and I couldn't be more excited. But yeah, to your point, certainly all the traditions I think should be honored. I think we always have to evolve and change and grow. I'm relaxed with you all, but I'm a high energy guy. You're a sideline reporter. I'm going to have to, stay, but I will in a good way. I love that y'all do that. But no, I think it starts there, and it's a relentless thing, guys. I don't hunt, I don't fish, I don't golf. It's kind of all I do, faith, family, football, and Westminster is going to get everything that I have. I can assure you that.
And kind of moving on to the football field, on to the gridiron, what does your kind of coaching philosophies look like from an offensive and defensive side of you?
Again, great question. I've had a lot of influences. I think that, philosophically, from an offensive perspective, maybe what I'd maybe know more for, you go back to my playing career. I played under Rich Rodriguez at Tulane. He's was a very innovative offensive mind, kind of introducing the spread offense and the zones and the inside outside things you hear. And I've been fortunate to really learn a lot through the years, shaped, I think, by our players. Odell Beckham was a huge impact on me, coaching him. Just, we brought the Wildcat, the options and the zones, and he played everyone on the field. And we had a guy a few years ago, Martin Butcher, that played at Georgetown, where we did a little bit more from a motion perspective, a little more elaborate protections, and everybody knows Arch. And I'd be remiss not to say Coach Sark has really helped me, formulate how we game plan, the call sheet. I think what you have to do is have a ton in your playbook that you can pull from, and it really comes down to our players. And you get to Westminster, see what we do well. You don't want to, paint yourself in a corner. We've had years at Newman this past year. We were a 10 personnel team. We motioned a lot. We were really smart. We're really good quarterbacks going to Princeton. I think he has a chance to start. And a lot of it had to do with some of the stuff we came up with together. But philosophically, I'd like to think innovation. You guys, again, a very prestigious school with very smart student athletes. We want to be push them mentally, but also be able to process quickly. I like working with quarterbacks, but it all starts up front. I think offensive line and the clips I've seen look very strong at Westminster. So I really got to get in there, but I'd like to think humbly that if it's out there, we should be able to pull it. Your RPO and all those things. So try to be innovative defensively. We've run a mid front, which is, more of an attack. We got one big guy in the middle, and we kind of, send a lot of pressure. We were able to do that this year. We mix our coverages, and some of our kids have been pretty smart. Jack Nesser, one of our players, actually was so good he could call it on the field. Just from a safety rotational perspective, you can mix man, mix zone. We put a lot on the plate, and then really good attention to detail special teams. Everybody coaches every unit. We use scout teams. We really, really focus on that, and not just kickoff, punt, block, kickoff, block. You have to simulate those things. So and then finally game management. I think the job of head coach is to manage a football game, and the flow of it. It's really easy to say, You go out there and just outscore people. That's really not what it's about. You have to work together, obviously during it to see how it, unfolds. Oftentimes in tight games, it can come down to 2 or 3 things. And like I said, I think lastly is getting to know the players. What are their strengths? You have good slots, wide receivers, running backs. If you look through, my 19 seasons as head coach, every year is different just because, a school like Newman, we don't recruit. We recruiting, kids to the classroom. We build them in the weight room. So I guess that's just a nugget. Hopefully it gives you an idea, but I'm very passionate about it. We do like 7-on-7. It's not real football, but we were fortunate. I think we've won 6 of the 7 LSU ones we've been in. We've been pretty good there. I think it's important. I think strong competition, and Westminster has a very strong region, really, really very tough. And we've played John Curtis's and St. Charles Catholics, and in our area is strong. So no, I just think it's total attention to detail, and it's got to be all that you do. You can't cut corners, and you just got to be relentless. That's the biggest thing, relentless, and, play for one another. That's a big thing. Just play for one another, one common goal. And I guess it's ironic, you guys, your colors are green, so don't have to change too much of our wardrobe. So it's kind of, just think about all those little things. So I guess that's a little part of it for me.
And Coach, you spoke on having Odell Beckham Jr. on your team and adapting your offense to how he played, inserting Wildcat and stuff into your offense. How do you adjust your philosophy with those different toolsy athletes and change each season based off what you have?
Well, I think that, like you talk to somebody like Odell, everybody, if someone can throw and someone can play running back and slot, I think it's, you have to be creative with touches. That's one of the things, is moving him all over the place. And, I love him to death. He's been great. But, when Odell was 18, there really wasn't anything he couldn't do. So we would just get together and, be creative, just in touches. If you're going to stick somebody out on an island, it's really easy. I learned when he was a junior, wasn't doing a real good job. I just put him at the Z and they were able to just bracket him. So, hey, then you move him to slot, then you motion him, then you do back motion. And once we did the Wildcat, it was kind of the, 3-headed monster all over. He even kicked for us. And then, hey, if somebody's got a real good wide receiver, we had a team in the playoffs, and we just, we put him in man coverage and let him follow, zoned everywhere else. I don't think the kid had a catch, but I think the other thing is just to constantly learn. I think that, and you look, especially in the college game, there's so many things from a creative standpoint. You look at, the spread offenses, the tempos, and all the things people are doing. You have to stay current, I think. I think just every year keep growing. I think biggest thing, and I actually told Miss Soares this, when I first took over, and first time head coach after Katrina down here, I always said, I sure hope, and whenever I leave, we're not running the same stuff, because you got to always grow. And I just think it's constant growth. I'm always trying to study and look at film and learn. And, hopefully a lot of coaches, college coaches I know, want to come recruit Westminster. That's a great opportunity. Get on the board. You can get 1 or 2 plays or things like that. But it's a passion of mine. And I just think it's creativity. And also so that players understand there has to be a system and a mechanism to it as well. So, it was fun. I was, when you have Odell, it's really as creative as you want to be. And, that's where it started. And we've had, tons of others. Eli Friend and Arch Manning while they're very similar, very different quarterbacks in terms of, do you want to move the pocket, Q run game, all those different things. So, it's kind of a relentless effort, but when you film practice and you really work in the summer with kids, I think you can get a pretty good feel. And I think you're very fortunate at Westminster, or fortunate to have a great strength program, a great strength coach. And when you allow and see what kids can do and really look at specific movement patterns, it helps with IDing it. So I guess that's just part of it.
You mentioned the creativity and constant growth, everything of that really, really important, but you need a good foundation to build on top of that. And how do you want to build a foundation, especially at Westminster? And when you talk about that, how are we going to work in the weight room, film sessions, walkthroughs? How do you approach all of that here at Westminster?
Well, I think a lot of the things that you guys are doing, at Newman, we've always, I guess from a demand standpoint, you got to get 3 workouts a week. We don't have athletic PE. So you guys have we call it high performance, but high performance classes built in. I think it starts there. I think there has to be a standard, which I think coaches set. So, everything starts there. You just got to embrace that. Also, I think being good multi-sport athletes. All of our great players did other things. I use an analogy, and I think it's really important that I share a godchild pseudo with Drew Brees. I mean, he got the short end of the stick with me. Don't get me wrong. His name's Jack Lorzell. I'm a little jackhammer. But so one thing I found out is Drew Brees beat, I think, Andy Roddick when he was 13 years old in tennis. And he was a point guard. And, Peyton Manning he played baseball and basketball. And there are a lot of things you can do to be competitive. So start in the weight room, multi-sport athletes, high standard in the classroom. I think character is very, very important to me. Honor, integrity, all the things I think that I saw when I went to Westminster, and it's a standard you have to carry every day. I think that you don't need to go all the time 3 hours on the practice field. At Newman, we have a heat policy where we have to practice before school, 90 minutes, 6 a.m. And our kids had to go 2 months, 6 a.m. to 7:30 on the clock, running on and off. Meetings after the field, but we just held that standard, and our kids bought in. We won a lot of games, and there are no shortcuts. I think the big thing from my standpoint is it just being relentless. It's that relentless pursuit of perfection, and how we practice. Certainly, I think no one will work harder. And also blending ideas. We've got a very big staff at Westminster. I'm still learning about a lot of the things that Westminster has done, but, just again, relentless effort, start in the weight room, innovation, passing game. Don't get outworked, and play for each other. That's really important to me. At Newman, we don't have, we didn't put numbers on our jerseys. We film practices and whatnot. Just a reminder, we don't have individuals. For all of our individual success, it really was team oriented. And, when it comes to me, it's we. It's our players, it's our coaches. It's not just going to be me coming in. As it's come into fruition, it's all been very humbling with some of the things said about being a head football coach, but it really is about others to me. So, it's like I said, it's got to be all that you do. And fortunately, the first things when I get there next week is to be meet the team, talk to the players, and we're going to hold a pretty high standard. And, coming there with my family, this is something this is certainly as excited as I've ever been. It's, locked in. It's all I'm thinking about. And I'm just getting ready to go to work.
And looking ahead towards the fall, what does a game week kind of look from your point of view, from the coaching staff, but also from the practice the players have? What does a typical game week look like Monday through Friday?
Well, again, I think it's a 7-day split for coaches. I think everything with us as you start on Monday, is a good PowerPoint presentation presenting your opponent. One thing I know that rivalries are great in Georgia. You hear all about pace, love it, and all those things. I even know old running back at Lovett who's texting me footage. I'm like, whatever, they get all into it in a good way. But whoever it is, I think really focusing on the schematics, who they are. It's not their last name. Introducing offense, defense, special teams, and a format that is in 30 minutes. I think that's really important to say. You do the work. Here's, who are they? Where are they from? What do they do? How are we going to attack? How are we going to defend? Present that, and then bringing that, walking it to the field, being very detail-oriented practice. Everything is scripted, everything, which I'm sure, again, has been done, but scripted, good attention, detail, filming it, having a good standard playing. You can play fast and play physical without playing live, right? You don't need to knock each other's heads off, but we're not going half speed. So, I think it's interior scale. Every day you should have an emphasis. Your Mondays, your base down and distance. Tuesday, as you get more into your third down, maybe your situational, some of the things you want to get into, getting your special teams, usually shoulder pads and shorts. That's usually where we go into our unit-based meetings, always start together, offense, defense. I've talked to some of the coaches about that. I think a lot of that's been done before. Now we can go, okay, now let's get really specific on what they're going to do in terms of, not just your film, but also your practice film. It's important you send home notes every night. So, student athletes can review it. I don't think you need to meet forever. Wednesday, going to your positional meetings. Now you get your running back room, your D-line, your O-line, and now you can really go through some of the things that I think are important that our position coaches think. And Thursday is a really important, probably our most important day, special teams, a good 30, 45-minute meeting on corrections on the previous week. We go forward into our expectations, and then we work really hard. It's a lot of stuff you hear in Texas, Alabama, where you want to play the game before the game. Your openers, running on off the field, your situations, things like that. it's not a walkthrough. You got to get going, ramped up. Your game day is what it is, but I do think with a game day, you do have to make sure that, again, you have your meetings, you have your tips, reminders. You don't let yourself get overwhelmed emotionally. We're so fortunate, Westminster, to have the field that you have, all that. That is an event. It's the first thing you come to the field. It's really it's the open door, what the community to go enjoy what these guys do. And in that, the importance of middle school, and I think in JV, you got to make sure to get enough emphasis. I go to every middle school practice every day. I think just to touch there, it's very, very important. And then Saturdays, we've always come in, we've met, we do a recovery lift workout while offense or defense lifts. Then we flip it. Sometimes we condition and go through there. And then Sundays as coaches, you come in and just go through the process again. So that's just, kind of the overview, but, football is different. There are just so many moving parts. You got 11 guys, you have to set your special team depth chart. All that has to be done electronically. So somebody gets hurt, next guy goes in, things like that. And, I guess that's just my 2 cents. So, but that being said, coming to Westminster, we have a big staff to talk to and work through, and I always talk about growth. So there'll obviously be some blending and working as we get through it together.
And Coach, earlier you said you want your players to play for each other. Clearly your program's built off of a strong camaraderie. Do you have specific methods that you have your team just come together as a group so they can perform better on the Friday nights?
Yeah, I think, and at Westminster, with the structure in the weight room, they all work out together. But we did a few things where in our workouts where, 1 week it would be freshmen, sophomores, and then junior seats are separate. And because we do 4 workout splits, the next week it would be freshmen, seniors. So a lot of that where guys get to know each other. In the summer, we do everything from, we do a 4th of July Ultimate Football Bowl where we do that. We do Mom's Night where you get to, tackle your son, but the players run that. They run stations. It's pretty fun. And so I think that's been important. I think that, everything we do is just the intention. Your freshmen need to be treated a certain way. If you have a good group of seniors and freshmen, we really, really emphasize that where, I just think, it's just got to be a part of your everyday. You just got to watch it, when you get in the locker room, good culture. We encourage players, give guys rides to and from practice. And again, it's a communication piece. All those meetings, all those things we go together are important. And then some of the other stuff I think that's fun is, once the JV season's over, sometimes we'll say, hey, we go 4 to score, and the JV will, get 4 downs from the 10. The losing group, maybe 200s. Some days our coaches will call it. I remember, we do it where the offense, and one time, as good as Arch is, they called a smash hooker route that got, blocked, and they went nuts, and defense would go through. So we try and keep those guys involved. And just as much as possible, where they can just work together. And then a retreat we've done, which is really important, where all kinds of team building activities. And it was really cool last year. The guy who Lone Survivor was based on Talk to the Team, former Navy SEAL, just unbelievable stuff like that. So we live for it. I think we've done a good job. And it, again, with middle school, that's super important. We want to make sure that 100% retention, all those 8th graders get welcomed in. They're running the same stuff. They know the offense, they know the defense. And at the end of little things, end of practice, we encourage our guys who like middle school games have to go high five a middle schooler, go let them know how important they are. So lower school carpool, we'll have kids go down, make announcements at lower school assembly. So we do all kinds of stuff. So I think it's been pretty good.
You talk about team building and also character building. What do you think football, like the role football plays, and especially in teaching life skills and character as men?
Man, you just summed it up, dude. That's what it is. That's why you do it. I saw a really cool graphic that you guys put out where good luck to all the players that were in the college football playoff. And that was amazing, right? But the truth is the majority of players are going to go on and go to college, go to school. I think that it just teaches you the values in life, and a lot of times, as important as academics are, and their most important thing, when you're so passionate, you care so much about something on Friday night and it's so physically, emotionally draining. You learn to handle the wins, but also you learn to weather the losses. And, that's what life is. It's not always fair and you never know what's coming. So, the physicality of it, all the moving parts. And I think that it requires so much for everyone to work together almost systematically in order to execute. I think that's what makes football maybe a little different. It's not more important, it's not better, it's just different, and it just requires so much of everyone together. And if you can, again, that name, Westminster, what it means to you and what it means to everybody. Somebody wore that number before you, right? Like that, you're not the only person that's ever done it. So I think embracing the tradition is incredibly important, but the life skills of just the wins and losses and all the adversity. That's why people, and there's nothing like Friday Night Lights. I played with, and y'all learn as I get, I can do a good Peyton Manning, Omaha, and all the stuff. But he would tell you, and as would, even Odell, there's nothing better than high school football. It's the purest form. I don't like all the things necessarily in college football. I think it's great with players getting paid and things like that. But with NIL and things, it's tough. And, it's something where I think this is one of the last forms of just pure football. And that's why I love high school athletics. I'm not one that's ever been interested in that. I just love high school football. That's what makes Westminster, so attractive to me. But it's the best thing in the world. There's nothing better than a whole community getting around and, all the emotion, all the enthusiasm. Again, fortunate to coach and play with some of those guys. They've kind of reiterated that to me. And I just think it's magic when it all comes together.
And Coach, you've talked about, guys going off to college just to continue to be scholars, but some guys get the opportunity to continue to be student athletes. How are you able to try to help those guys pursue that dream as a coach?
Again, you guys are nails. Great questions. These are things I've gone through. I think really recruiting it is something that you have to just sell out to, especially as a head coach. You have to form relationships. You have to network. I was probably the last guy that got on Twitter, but the biggest reason I did it was for our players in order to just push their film out. If a player is going to play, under us, I think it's on us as coaches to make sure that we promote them as much as possible. And we don't set ceilings. Yesterday I went in on my, to have 3 really stud players meet with Cornell's coach. He was in, there was snow coming, and we said, look, that was the one window. So we went in, opened up school, did that. You got to do those little things, and just being relentless in the promoter players, and not. I think it's important not to say, hey, you're going to play at this level, you're going to do this. We're not going to set that bar. That's for coaches to figure out. I'm still working on huddle, highlight films for our players in order to get that out, making sure that colleges, get the information necessary. I mean, we've had over 25 guys. I really don't know the number that have gone on collegiately, but that's D3, that's Ivy League, and they're all different, right? I mean, in terms of D3, it's making those coaches feel exactly like the Division I coaches. One of my best friends is a running back coach at Florida State, and he was treated the exact same when he was a wide receiver coach at Millsaps. And it's just meeting them, making time, formulating relationships, and being honest in terms of your assessment. And for us, I think every player I'd like to think that come through Newman in the end can say fully they were given every opportunity and I guess promoted enough so that they knew that, that I did all I could, going back to when we did VHS tapes and DVDs, and now it's so easy, digitally, but no, it's you just have to do it. It's a part of it. And I think for our players, we have Chris Hunter is a starting wide receiver at Arizona. You play first at Newman, Arch's junior year as a leading wide receiver. He really didn't have much, and he went on and he almost went to Rhodes, and he walked on at Arizona State. Now he's full scholarship at Arizona, and we just, he just kept working. I'm as proud of him as anybody. We've got guys playing all over the country. One of our defensive backs was the Ivy League Player of the Week. And like I said, I know everybody throw the horns up, loves Texas. I love all that, but there's a lot of other universities out there. And the bottom line is Power 5 schools are tough, but you want to make sure that Power 5 schools still come through to see your players. And the last thing would be, you'd be amazed how many times a coach sees a player and then it may not be for him, but he talks to another guy, hey, you need to go check out so-and-so. And that's how a lot of it works. Our first ever NFL player is a guy named Omar Douglas at Newman. Well, it was a St. Aug coach that recommended him to Minnesota, and he went on and played there. So you just never know. But it's a huge part of what you do. And, it's something I'm very passionate about been fortunate to have some success with, and relationship building, hopefully can help bring some of that to Westminster.
And Coach, you've been coaching, you've been a head coach for 19 years, coaching overall for 26. Clearly, you've gleaned a lot of information. Who taught you all this stuff, and who's been some of your mentors so you can finally get to this point of clearly knowing so much about the process?
A lot of it's trial and error, but I think my head coaches, I had great mentors. What's unique about my journey is I was named head coach right after Hurricane Katrina, and the previous head coach was our former defensive coordinator. His name is Ken Lass, and he was removed, and it was cost studying, things like that. And the neat part of my journey was when they figured it out, he actually came back to be my defensive coordinator. So my assistants were my mentors. So I just soaked stuff up every single day. My old head coach Frank DeGiuso, Coach Tony Reginelli. I always felt like they always promoted relationships, getting to know college coaches, and forming relationships. I think, Buddy Stevens, who was at Dartmouth and brought me to Manning Passing Academy, he always came and checked on me, regardless if we had a recruit or not. They always really resonated with me. And I think that, just going through it, Pete Golding and, AJ Milwee and Sark and all these guys that I know, I consider them friends. And, and the other thing is I never ask for anything. I'm never going to try and get something from them. It's all about our players. We always talk about Arch and Arch's coach. I can tell you this, there's one coach that didn't want anything out of it, and it's me. I didn't want anything. I just want to help him through his journey, make sure we can navigate it. And that's very important. Eli Friend, same deal. Just taking the time to talk to him and just trying to be a good person. I had really good people that mentored me. They're all very excited about Westminster. I have a old, it's named after the old office. It's all my old coaches on a text thread. And everybody wants I saw that the Nike trucker hat is sweeping New Orleans. Everybody wants one of those. Miss Soares gave me one, but just great mentors. And it's just really important to me just to make time and do that. And I give all credit to others, man. Just trying to do things the right way.
Now, as you're moving back from New Orleans here to Atlanta, what excites you and your family most about joining the Westminster community as Wildcats?
I think everything. I love the campus. I love, the even little things, the trail around it. We've never had a practice field at Newman, a dedicated, practice field for me. I think for my kids, they don't go to Newman. They go to St. George's, another independent school. My oldest, who is awesome, she has special needs, but it's very high functioning. She's going to graduate from high school. And we're kind of our own little rock. We're not all leaving Newman. That's just kind of where I live. My son's a ball boy there. He's very excited. I think he'd like to come up you'll have to do a sideline interview with him at Westminster, but it's just total alignment. The community is great. Everyone we've met, from, boys basketball coach, girls basketball coach, CFO, headmaster. We've just had a wonderful experience. I think Buckhead's amazing. It's crazy. You're in it's kind of like where I live in a small suburb where, it feels like a small town in a big city. So, it just really everything. I think it's just a great community. It's a chance to grow, hopefully bring some enthusiasm, some excitement. My family's, they know the coach's life, they get it, but they just have loved, every part of it. So it's hard to say just one thing. I know the football piece is incredibly important, but I do think I've done lower school PE for 26 years. It's a lot like kindergarten comp, but it's kept me grounded. It sounds like they want me to keep doing that, which will be neat. And there's bittersweet. There are a couple little crying 9-year-olds when it got out there. So you just give them a hug and be able to finish that out and hard with our players. But I'm just excited about everything. Literally, when commencement ends, I'm getting in my Jeep and rolling up. In the morning, I bought one of those trailers. Hopefully, I can hook it up to go behind. So we're just excited about everything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, tell us about your family. Tell me what they're looking forward to coming to Atlanta. Obviously, leaving a lot behind, but hopefully to create some new memories here.
Well, I'll be solo for a year. My twins, Caroline and everybody calls them Buddy. They're going to finish 8th grade, so it'll be a year. They'll be able to come up. I'm going to try. We have Mardi Gras down here. I'm going to try and head up that way and maybe introduce it. So, no, they're great. Caroline's an artist. John Nelson just loves football. He's like I said, he's a ball boy, plays wide receiver, flag. He's already looked up the history of Westminster. He knows all about it. He's a little encyclopedia for it. So, they're super excited. Taylor's real cool. She's into jujitsu. She loves that. She loves the outdoors. She loves the adventure of it. I think that she, just kind of a new place, new environment. She rides horses there. There's a really good support system for kids with special needs up there, and really as they go into adulthood. So they're all excited. My wife's an art teacher at her alma mater, and she's loved doing it. And next year's her 20th year. So I think that, what she loves most, again, it's the school, the community, and just being a part of it, getting to know everybody, Friday night lights there. But, again, it's more than that. We really want to, be a part of it, bring everything we can as a family. And that's something that I think Miss Swords did, was really, I use the word recruit, I'm going to walk on linemen, so don't take it wrong, but really recruit us is to really the strengths of Westminster.
And then looking ahead for the next couple of years, what are some of your short and long-term goals for the program, not only on the field, but continuing to build that culture?
I think that a lot of it's going to come in the coming weeks, getting in the team meetings, getting to know people. I think sustained success is the most important success. I think that, continue to build in a very tough region, holding the standard high, and, getting into, we've been, fortunate, I think, whatever it was, 5 of the last 7 years, we're going to state semifinals. And I think that's kind of a standard we kind of worked to. We've been close, but not talking about championships. I think really talking about doing it the right way, making sure, getting really involved in middle school, really excited about those guys coming up through Westminster, making sure that we're aligned, that we're running the things offensively and defensively that we're doing on varsity. So, a lot of our quarterbacks, they're running the same stuff, and it really helps. I've seen a smaller role. So, unifying that, holding that standard high, a lot of high energy. I think bringing, some of the things we do in the summer, from a 7-on-7 perspective, line tonight, things like that. Really excited about bringing some things creatively from an offensive perspective, defensively staying active, doing those things and expanding, a little hopefully on, the standard Westminster has. And if the championships come, they come. I think it's just something where in order to be successful, in football, like I said, it's just never ending. So the goal to me, I would also say, is each year for each year. I think if you look too far ahead, you don't see what's in front of you. So my sole focus is next football season, learning who the players are, make it the best it can possibly be as a team, and just totally investing in that. And then you just start all over and keep building it. So really, truly, it's going to start next year. So, long-term goals, I think, constant, steady growth, but it's, again, I just think that this coming summer and spring is incredibly important to start, holding that bar high for us.
And Coach, a question swirling around the Westminster campus is about the staff next year. Do you have some new faces that you're thinking about bringing on board, or keeping the old ones that you saw from last year?
Again, real good question. Something that's unique from Newman, I only have 2 on-campus assistants. So I've had to wear a lot of hats and do a lot of things, which I do very happily. The majority of my guys, we have a petroleum engineer, we have a home audio guy, we have someone that runs a machinery company, and we've been able to maximize that. I think that I don't have a lot of staff to bring per se. I certainly have been, a ton of people have certainly reached out, but I want to get to know the coaches that we have at Westminster. I think that, formulate those relationships, see what they're doing, learn about the traditions. I've learned, again, collegiately, my mentors, some of the greatest coaches are the ones able to bring that information to the next head coach. So, I would like to see, what we have. I had 2 great Zooms with 2 assistants this morning. They were awesome. They were fired up about, some of the things we're going to be able to do, middle school, JV, varsity. So, no, it's me right now, and just getting to know those guys, and, get to see everyone in person. So, no, maybe I'll, a certain wide receiver who just isn't with the Dolphins I've talked to, he may be able to come up and work the wide receivers one day. That's a real thing. I'd like him to do that. Things like that, I love to do. Really, I do. But in terms of the staff and the coaching, look, there's, I believe, 26 coaches. That's a lot of conversations. And, I got to certainly get to know those guys first.
And now moving away from the players and the coaches more to parents, alumni, and just Westminster as a whole, how do you want to build support for the program, whether that's through through events and how alumni and people that aren't necessarily here anymore, players that want to come back and things like that? How do you want to build a community around Westminster football?
I think it's just to be as open and inviting as possible. Anyone and everyone. I had a great talk. Someone, an NFL player, who'd been at Westminster, was excited to go through and just make sure guys are coming back. If you look, McSours is, Shan's putting jerseys up in the weight room, starting your Hall of Fame, just celebrating that, celebrate the history of Westminster. There are so many things you could do, whether it's halftime, honoring a team from the past, or, really going out of the community. I love going to events to get to know people, promote what we're going to do at Westminster, as a face of the program. That's just something you do. Down here, I don't know how much you guys know about me. I try and be as open and move around as much as possible, be as visible. I do a lot of radio for our local team, WWL Radio. I work at Manning Passing Academy where I'm a coordinator, really enjoy that stuff. And just being out in the community, I think it's in everything you do. There are no days off if you're a head football coach. So I think that, I am fully invested in Westminster. So I think, like I said, to your point, any and all events and, staying active and connecting with people. I have a great meeting the week of the Super Bowl, some from Westmoreland Stout that is really very instrumental in development of Westminster. I didn't know him, but he's going to be at the Super Bowl. We're going to go out. We're going to tour the Manning Fieldhouse, show some things we're doing. And it just has to be passionate in everything that you do. And I want to learn more. I want to meet more people. There is so much tradition and history, not just in football. I'm excited to go to a basketball game. You guys got that thing, with Coach Matt pretty rocking. So I love that. I think that's great. And just go to as many events as possible, baseball, lacrosse, basketball, track and field. I worked the shot put fit, not very well, but I do. Eli Friend got offered by Dartmouth in the shot put pit last year at the Newman Invitational. So give you an idea kind of how I like to do it. So I think it's in everything. I'm just super excited to get there and get around. You probably tell I'm a little wired, as they say, a little wired. I know high energy, but it's just in everything, man. Really, truly.
You talked about being high energy. What are some other things that Westminster people should know about you before they have the opportunity to meet you, or, just to learn more about yourself?
What can I say outside of that? You swerved me. First one. I guess stuff about me is, I just, with my path, to get there, the wonderful release you guys did was, and I don't know if you guys were a part of that. My dad actually wants a poster for his man cave of it. He thought it was amazing, but, just staying humble. My journey was that of a defensive lineman that just had to work hard. I got some nice individual honors. I walked on a Tulane. And to me, it's always just been about the work. I think it's always been about getting better. Everything I'd like to think that, I've been able to achieve personally has been, something where others have helped, but I've had to work hard for, in the weight room, again, just going to clinics, going out and just being relentless in terms of getting better. I think that in my journey, as a coach, it's more than just, like I said, football. It's being a part of the, different committees at Newman, going out, being an upper school advisor, really just being as big a part of things as possible. And as I told Shannon, I said, I want to do what Westminster needs me to do. I want to, be there, front and center wherever I'm needed. And I just like to think I'm pretty humble. I'm pretty hardworking. And I'm just very excited. I think that's the biggest thing is when you're at your alma mater for 26 years, it's awesome. And sometimes maybe not is awesome, but this is certainly for me a blessing to be able to take this step. And, my family's excited. I think the other stuff is that they would know is how many people are excited about Westminster football. There are people coming from New Orleans. There are going to be people come different just to watch Westminster and just to be able to help facilitate that is unbelievable. The broadcasting you guys do. And no, I just, again, while we're from New Orleans and whatnot, just how excited we are about this opportunity.
And you spoke on being able to coach at the Manning Passing Academy. What's it like having that opportunity to work with a teammate you've had, a younger player that you got to coach, and then also bringing that wisdom to Westminster, where you're going to have the opportunity to mold multiple young quarterbacks, as the previous quarterback we've had for 2 years actually just graduated. What's that like, being able to bring the expertise to the Westminster campus and put it into use immediately?
Well, one thing, he could sling it. I looked at him. He's a good player. I always say there's some things that slot fade things, big fan. I know he got hurt early, which you hate to see. I'd be remiss. Peyton Manning has been very, very instrumental in my career. He's been so wonderful. Everything from, giving me practice film, from when he played to drills to, Tom Brady cut-ups, things like that. He really has taught me a lot. Going to the Manning Passing Academy, just the people you get to know. It's unbelievable. I look at Josh Allen the other night, and he was on my field. I remember the day he walked out, he put his head down, he was a little late, and Peyton Manning was running his bootleg drill in the end zone. He's like, "Oh, coach, oh no, I'm so sorry." I said, "No, man, just go get it." So you get to see a lot of these guys, on that level. And I think that, from a quarterback perspective, it's always the same. Those guys are just locked in. They're driven. It's your footwork, it's your release. It's just, being a constant competitor. So many guys, our quarterbacks have all gone to Manning camp, Eli and Wes Luquette, so many of them since they were little. Just the mechanics. And really, I think what it takes to be great, like Peyton Manning didn't just have great play fakes. He had someone on a ladder every day that would film an exchange, and then they would finish a play fake. How close did it look to being the same? When you hand it off and you carry your play action fake, where are your eyes going? Your pre-snap progression, your footwork, your attention to detail. What are you repping at practice? No wasted reps. The importance of indie with quarterbacks, individual with your drops and your distractions. So it's too much to sum up in one, but quarterback play, I think, is an art. I think it's a gift, and it's something that if you can do it, it requires a real high attention to detail. But I do think every quarterback's different. I think what's important is all the guys we've had, Martin Butcher went to Georgetown, Miles LePere, Tulane, Jay Tyler, Stanford. Obviously, you guys know Eli. Wes Luquette, my first one, was a catcher at LSU. They all have different skill sets, but they had the common trait of just being ultimate competitors. Getting out there on Friday night and getting after it. And you're only as good as your offensive line. And building off those guys and not celebrating the quarterback too much. I think it's the guys up front. So I'm very passionate about quarterback play. Eli, I've loved working with him. After made the announcements, he sat with me for 30 minutes and going through it. But it's going to be a lot. It's going to be something where just giving what I've been taught, what I've learned, and we've had a really nice standard of success at Newman. All of our quarterbacks have been close to leading the area in passing. Eli, I think, humbly would have this year, but we have running clock down here. So really, I think in the majority of our games till the end, he didn't even get to play in the second half. So his numbers, I think, are a little deceiving. But just again, I just love doing it, and I think that whoever it is, and I've some of you guys have followed me on Twitter and some young quarterbacks and things like that. But just when we get to work and get out there, it's going to be a relentless pursuit of perfection to do it. But certainly, I know you guys can. Like I said, quarterback last year, he really did. He could sling it and power read and all that stuff. So obviously, those guys are used to getting coached, as I come in there.
And now, as a player, you worked your way through up Newman and then walked on to Tulane. How do you handle adversity, especially as a coach coming to a new school, tough season? How do you plan to instill resilience in your players?
Well, I think that, you build it at practice. I think you can start with competitive situations. They're great. Bill Belichick spoke to us, Manning camp, and talked about that, things he did that really were really, really awesome. You can manufacture that in a healthy competitive setting, in the weight room, pushing guys to, get to, as high as they can. And sometimes you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So getting in there, setting good, personal goals, doing it, developing it practice. And like I said, when I came into Newman, there were 39 players, there were 4 coaches, and the standard was here. But we were able to win 8 games, and we did it with enthusiasm, playing team first football. We were able to beat the presumed state champion in our homecoming game. That was forever ago. But I think it's also, I touched on it earlier, but how do you handle the wins? If we're going to win a game and act like it's a Super Bowl and not be able to enjoy it in the evening and get back to work the next day, you have a problem. You can enjoy the wins, but you just can't gloat in them. You can't go through. Coach Fred's always said, let it go to your heart, not your head. Too many times teams, you see it all the time. You get a big emotional win and they don't know how to handle it. And then you get smoked the next week. Well, I think the same thing goes for losses. I think you learn more from the losses oftentimes, and it's terrible. And I was telling Coach Matt in basketball, I don't handle that very well. I'm trying to get better with it, and we've won a lot more, at least last few years, and than we've lost. But I think in the losses, being very critical, and that's not throwing computers, yelling. There will be some tense moments, but really looking yourself in the mirror. And going through what you need to do better. I think what an example for you all, Country Day, is, I guess, maybe our Love It. I don't know. It's a team, except we hadn't played in a number of years. And I remember when we started playing them again, there's a big gap. It was, we hadn't lost them in 50 years. Well, guess what happened about 3 years in? And I remember that group, you'd have thought it was a funeral, but instead we awoke, and it brought a fire out in us, and we finished the year on a win streak, and we went and underdogs to Dunham. And I don't know if Dunham had a corner named Derek Stingley. He was pretty good. And they had a 290-pound quarterback. And I think people's odds were little and none, but it was a state game of the week, and we went out and did it, and we threw the kitchen sink out and we won. That was one of our greatest wins, but we wouldn't have got that if we didn't have, those losses. And, football, from a passion perspective, that's what you love about it. You can, and then, again, if those heartbreaking losses, if they do happen in the end, that doesn't negate everything you did before that, right? I think it's understanding the totality of work and, celebrating each other. So, I just think that's really, to me, the secret and the key part of this. And obviously, Coach Romberg, 33 years, you can look, that standard, I think, has been set, I would think, with everything that he's done. And that's just my mindset.
Coach, penultimate question here. We asked it to all of our guests, but if you could give a piece of advice to a younger Coach Stewart, what would that piece of advice be?
Patience is a virtue. Sometimes you got to work hard to get where you need to be. It took me 26 years to get to Westminster. I believe that. And I want you guys to know that. I'm so honored and so humbled. And just as I would say that because I went to a very, tough academic school. I was not first honor roll. It was hard to get through it and get there, but I did. And when I went to Tulane, same thing, just trying to work up to get, on scholarship. And Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think I would say that as I go to Westminster, but we're going to work as hard as possible. We're going to do everything possible to put the best product on the field. No one will work harder. We'll hold our standard, but having some patience as we acclimate and whatnot, I think that would be it. And, I'm not 50 yet, but that's the 40-something me old saying that. Certainly if I told myself that at 28, I probably would have disagreed, but I've learned it a little, and that's that process stuff you hear about, right? So we're going to embrace the process of doing it, and be patient in that, and don't waste a day when we get in there.
Well, Coach, I've enjoyed so much from what you've heard, but do you have one final message to send out to the Westminster fans to help kick off the Stewart era?
Man, you're pretty sharp. Just one. Look, go Cats, and we're gonna get after it. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I'm jacked up. I'm very, very excited. Coach Raleigh, I was talking to him this morning. I am very excited to get to Westminster. I want you to know that this is Coach Sark. always said something on my call sheet: all gas, no brakes. We're gonna hit the gas. We're gonna get after it, and I'm ready to roll. And like I said, I'm wired, but just how excited I am to meet the team, meet the community, meet the players, and just align this thing and get rolling. So I'm just locked in, ready to rock. That's what I would say.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time. I know I've learned so much from what you've just told us, and everyone at home, hopefully you learned something too. You guys can see Coach Stewart at Westminster next Friday against the Cambridge game, the Play for K basketball game. Make sure to show up and show support. And thank you again, Coach. I mean, that was awesome. I'm really excited for next year.
Yeah. You guys are awesome, man. Seriously, all credit to you. And just the job y'all do. It really is. When you have students that support football, sideline reporters, things like that, that's amazing. And it's important. That was a big part of my recruitment with Shannon, was the work that you do and getting in that booth. She showed my wife. So no, thank you to you all for having me. It really does mean a lot.
Well, it was our pleasure to have you on the podcast. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, go Cats. Thank you.